Hi guys, Mark here. Welcome. Today I'm decorating a couple of hats using headbands. To start off, we are going to cut two pieces of Paracord 550, each about 8 feet long. I removed the inner strands out of my cords to make them lay flatter. I prepared a loop, which I usually place onto a door handle, just to give me some tension while I'm braiding my braid. I'm going to attach my two cords onto my loop, then even out the four ends. With the four ends being about the same length, we can begin a 4-stranded round braid. This is super simple. Top right end passes behind, in between the two ends on the left, then travels to the bottom on the right. Top left end passes behind, in between the two ends on the right, then passes to the bottom on the left. Top right end again passes behind, in between the two ends on the left, then to the bottom on the right. Top left end passes behind, in between the two ends on the right, then to the bottom on the left. Tighten up a bit, then continue the same way. Top right, top left. Top right, top left. Continue braiding, using up pretty much all of your ends. This is going to give us a length larger than we need, which we can then adjust to the length that we want. I've braided a length which goes around my hat with a bit extra. I'm going to continue by trimming my ends, leaving a bit behind for the finishing knot. So let's say something like this. I'm going to use my four ends to tie a foot rope knot. We begin our foot rope knot with a counterclockwise crown knot. So each end passes counterclockwise over the next end. Our last end passes into the opening made by the first end. If you've done this correctly, the result is a square-shaped knot at the top. The counterclockwise crown knot. Grab each of your ends, pass over a strand coming out of the braid, then immediately up through the center of the knot. Each end passes over an end coming out of the braid, then immediately up through the center of the knot. Simple, yet requires observation of the knot. Our final end, again, over an end, coming out of the braid, then through the center. When done, lightly tighten up your knot. Tighten it up starting at the braid, pulling slack through the knot into the ends. So, when done, you have a secure knot at the end of your braid. Trim your ends to size, melt them. We continue our project by placing a decorative knot next to the footer rope knot. Cut 2 pieces of Paracord 550, each 2 feet long. Feed 1 cord through the braid next to the footer rope knot. Even out the 2 ends. Feed the second cord 90 degrees to your first cord. Again through the braid next to the footer rope knot. Even out the 2 ends. And you have 4 ends to work with. Grab your 4 ends, line them up, wrap them around your braid once. We next weave our 4 ends in a sequence of under over, under over. First end, under over, under over. Second end, same sequence, starting under the first end. Under, over, under, over. Third end, same sequence, starting under the second end. under, over, under, over. Our final end, same sequence, starting under the third end. Under, over, under, over. We now have 4 ends on the left. Grab one, pass it under the end above, then double up the strand above. Passing over, under, over. Grab the next end, same thing. Under the top end, double up the strand above. Over, under, over. Next end, same thing. Under the end above, double up the strand above. Over, under, over. Final end on the left is going to travel under an already used end, then double up the strand above. Over, under, over. We are now at our final pass for our knot. Our ends are exiting with an over, so we re-enter under. Starting under 2 to split a pair. Over 2 to split a pair. Under 2. And finally, over 2 on the left. Same thing with the remaining 3 ends. Grab one, start your sequence under 2 to split a pair. Over 2 to split a pair, under 2 to split a pair. Exiting over 2 on the left. Next end, under 2, over 2, under 2, exiting on the left, over 2. Here. Last end, same thing, starts under 2, over 2, under 2, over 2 on the left. So we have a nice sequence going. Last thing to do is to finish up our ends. Each of our ends exits over 2, then we want it to travel under the knot to the right side. That's our knot. Tighten it up, starting with the strands coming into the knot, pull the slack through the entire knot, finishing by pulling the slack into one of the ends. Keep tightening until your knot is as tight as you can make it. After tightening, I'm going to trim the ends as close to the knot as possible. I'm going to roll my knot in between two planks to flatten it, make it look more even. I'm going to repeat the seam knot one more time on the other side of my headband at the start of our braid. To do this, we cut two pieces of Paracord 550. This time, each piece is a bit over 2 feet long. I'm going to run the two cords through my braid at the start. So my first cord, evening out the two ends. The second cord, let's say here, so 90 degrees to my first cord. Again, evening out the two ends. 4 ends to work with. I'm going to close my headband like this. So the two ends meet up, and my new knot here is going to secure the two sides together. So simply tie the exact same knot one more time. Gather up your 4 ends, run them around both of your ends, then run all 4 ends through the wrapping turns. First end, under over, under over. Second end, same sequence, starting under our first end. Under, over, under, over. Third end, same sequence, starting under the second end. Under, over, under, over. Final end, same sequence, starting under the third end, then over, under, over. We now have our ends on the left. Grab one, pass it under the top end, double up the strand above. So, over, under, over. Next end, same thing. Under the top end, double up the strand above. Over, under, over. Next end, same thing. Under the top end, double up the strand above. Over, under, over. Final end on the left passes under an already used end, doubles up the strand above. Over, under, over. Our final pass in the knot, we are exiting with an over, so we re-enter under. Under 2 to split a pair. Over 2 to split a pair. Under 2 to split a pair. And finally exiting over 2 on the left. Next end, let's say this one here, same thing. Under 2 to split a pair. Over 2 to split a pair. Under 2 to split a pair. Exiting on the left, over 2. Next strand, same thing. Under 2 to split a pair. Over 2, under 2 to split a pair. Exiting over 2 on the left. Final end. Under 2 to split a pair. Over 2 to split a pair. Under 2 to split a pair. Exiting over 2 on the left. Finally, we run our 4 ends under the knot all the way to the right side. So grab one, make sure that it passes over 2, then to the right side. Next end, over 2, exits on the right side. Over 2, exits on the right side. Our final end, over 2, exits on the right side. Our knot is complete, tighten it up. Starting with a strand coming out of the braid. So one of the 4 ends. Running the slack through the knot into one of the ends. Do the same thing with all of your ends. After tightening the knot, we fit it onto a hat, adjust the size of our headband, trim the ends, as close to the knot as possible. Roll the knot like the previous one, between two planks. Our project is complete. A beautiful, functional, and adjustable headband that you can be proud of. Thank you for joining me today, and I hope to see you in my future videos as well.